Hello everyone, it's Jean from the Inky Studio. Welcome, welcome. This is part 2 of a series I'm doing on my latest journal. And the last time we were together, we did the covers and the top, the decoration for the front cover. So today I'm going to show you how I put together this beautiful fabric spine. Just all this lovely pleats in here and very generous and just just really nice, lots of texture and everything. I'm going to show you the process video on putting this together. And this is going to be glued over an existing spine. So here are here's the two covers that we did, and I'm going to show you how I'm putting in the spine base as well. So I'll show you this after I show you the first part, and this is going to get glued over like so. So please like and subscribe to this video if you enjoy this, and I hope this gives you some ideas to do your own, and we will now get started.
Going to gather some fabric together, and I'm making sure that it is longer and wider than what I want my spine to be. And um, I this is going to be what I'll call a topper for the spine. It's not the spine per se. We'll be making the base of the spine later. But this is like a layer that's going to go over the spine. And so I've gathered these three different fabrics. You can use as many as you like. And I am, the base one, or the one that's on the bottom, is a little bit firmer than the other two, but they're all light to medium weight fabrics. And I am just making pleats here and there, in randomly putting them in, just folding it over, pinning it down, trying to make sure that each little fabric has a chance to shine. So you can see all the different layers in there. And once you do this, you can always go back and readjust them if you don't like the effect. But we're just making pleats and scrunching it up. And like I say, it's a fluid process, and I just kept on going. I did sort of keep in mind I wanted a certain width for it. I didn't want to go more narrow than the width. And I was trying to be generous with it because we can always fix how wide it is. We can always make it more narrow. So I was kind of being generous with it as I went down and put all these little creases and folds inside. Once I completed that part of it, I took a needle and thread, and now I'm going to just stitch tiny, tiny stitches down on the front of it, just securing these little pleats to all the layers all together. And I just want to make sure they're tacked down so that I can take the pins out and they'll remain ruffled. And I'm placing them probably no more than an inch apart here and there. And I'm not using a sewing machine because that would make all the ruffles lay flat. And I wanted there to be the peaks and valleys of all those little pleats in there. So that's why I am securing it by hand. And it's just sort of an experiment. And because you're placing them so far apart, it's easy to rip out if you don't like your first attempt. But really, I don't really think there is any wrong way of doing it. I'm using the thread that blends with the fabric. Although I suppose you could use a contrasting one for interest. And sometimes I'm going through the base of the pleats instead of sewing down the top of the pleat to the fabric, to the rest of the fabric. I'm kind of like pinching them together and going underneath them. Now you can see that the back stitching is not neat at all. It's a mess. And I've got some length, quite a bit of space between the stitches that I'm doing. But on the front, I just made sure they were tiny and enough to hold so that I can take my pins out. Now sometimes you might have to make additional pleats more than what the pins had. And so that's kind of what I'm doing here, is making some additional ones. Just making sure it's still still fluffy looking. But it is a bit of an experiment. I wasn't sure how much to show of this process, but hopefully this will give you a good enough idea. And it took some time to complete the whole spine. I did sit down after I videotaped this portion. I sat down in the evening and just watched TV and finished it off. I found it relaxing.
Okay, I have completed the covering that's going to go on the spine. And once I tacked down all these little places in here, I went back and wanted it to be a little bit more narrow. So I just went with my needle and I just went in, took up a few stitches and then pulled it taut. And then when I pulled it, then this kind of made it pleat up this way, and then just tied it off. So I just went in with my needle and just experimented with everything, and that's kind of what I think you have to do until you get it the way you want it to be. The key, I think, really is to have sufficient amount of fabric, but also you can add to this. So if you made this, if you make the spine and you feel like there's not enough fabric there to cover your spine, then you can add more, to the edges. So you can do that as well. So this is the way it will sit on the journal eventually. A little bit will be glued over onto the cover and the rest will go on top of the spine, and that's how that will sit. Now, to make the base of the journal, or the foundation of the spine, this is just a spine covering is what I think I'm going to call this. And I've got these vintage coat buttons, which you can't use inside because they're so thick, but like, wow, it's perfect for the outside, right? To make the base of this spine, and it's going to be one made from cloth, I have cut 2 pieces of a twill of a cotton heavy canvas like twill, like fabric, just a real, heavy. This is real heavy, and this is like semi-heavy. And I've cut these two pieces out. And what is going to happen is that this piece will be glued here on the cover like so. And then I will be gluing, of course, the back cover onto it. And then I'm going to lay down a piece of, uh, oh gosh, a piece of batting down here for the actual spine where I'm going to sew into, just to give it a little bit more softness and heft. And then this piece will go over that, and then it will glue onto the inside of the cover. So that's kind of how it's going to go on with part of with this one on the outside, this one on the inside, and the batting down in the middle. I really should have done all of this that I'm going to do right now before I put all the topping on, but I didn't, and so it's okay. We will just go on from there. And this over here, I'm allowing a good 1/2 inch then to be glued onto the back of the cover. And we're just, so this is just, my goal, I think, with the spine is to be around 2 inches or 2 1/4 or something like that. And I've made this 3 inches wide because I'm going to be sewing right along this edge there like that. So I'm going to be sewing a triangle on the inside of this just so that it stays connected. And I'm going to be sewing it with this on. And I am going to now sew that triangle, which is basically going to be sewing in the batting, but so that there's like the sandwich in here. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. And so I have this already sewn up. I've stitched, it's hard to see, but I stitched around here just enough so that I got the batting caught, all the way around. Right, so that's all done there. And now I'm going to glue this onto my piece here and start attaching this spine base to the front cover. Right, I just don't want to cover up the cardboard there. Not going to worry about the seepage of the glue, because in the end, this is going to probably cover it up a little bit, some of that seepage in that spine here is a spine cover. So some of it will get covered up. Okay, so I've got the front cover on, glued on, the front piece, and then I'll work on the back here. So here is where you're going to see the glue, and I debated on whether to use the glitter glue or the Fabri-Tac, and I do feel like the Fabri-Tac probably might be a better choice, because after all, we're dealing with fabric, right? So I'm going to try to put it on thinly and kind of spread it out here with the nozzle a little bit, just to see if I can't prevent it from showing through. I guess that looks pretty good there. That looks pretty good. I think that'll work okay. And then I can always come in the edges here with the glitter glue. So I think that's how I'm going to plan that out. Oops. Okay, that's right. I keep forgetting how the fabric takes time to take. And it's not paper, so I'm going to have to let that dry well before I start using that part of the spine. And then I'll just turn this over, and I will glue this then onto the back cover. Okay, and there that is. Of course, I'm not going to turn these pages. So these are in, and then what will happen is I will, when I get done, or no, when I get done sewing the signatures in, then I'm going to glue this spine then on the very back of it, and that's how that'll be. So it'll be very cute. I love this. I think this is turning out really, whoops, let me get into the camera. I'm sorry. I think this is turning out very well. I like it. Okay, there we go. So that is basically the spine. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe as I do more work in here. I'll be sewing in some of the signatures and working on them in the next few videos. And you have a great day and happy holidays to everyone. Please enjoy your family and your friends and this wonderful time of celebration. We will talk to you real soon.